Oh, absolutely. The Nifty itself is getting ready to hit a century, right, Lata? 90 points higher now. And a lot of individual stocks are moving up. So I just want to take the discussion forward with a management joining us. Escorts is the stock on our radar right now. In fact, it was a mixed bag for them. The revenues were very strong. It was a 60% growth that Escorts saw. But the margins were slightly lower than what the street was estimating. And there is, of course, raw material cost pressures as well. Bharat Madan, the group CFO of Escorts, joins us now to talk about that. Mr. Madan, good morning and hope you are safe and healthy. In your press release, you mentioned that there is some pressure that you are seeing because of COVID and the impact on demand, especially in rural areas. Can you just give us more details? Which are the geographies which are getting impacted? And is it only demand that's getting hit, or even production and supply issues are creeping up now?
Hi, good morning, Sonia. Yeah, we are all safe and we hope the same with the CNBC staff too. These are the challenging times. So obviously, everyone in somewhere or other is getting impacted. So yes, to your question, I think this time the second wave has been obviously quite serious. Unlike in the first wave, we had actually no impact on the road side. But this time we are seeing the impact has been coming now on various states, and the markets are getting impacted. And that we are seeing in the demand for April month also. Everything, all of the factors were positive, but definitely that had impact on the demand. So I think the situation is dynamic. As you see, the May obviously has been going the way. Various lockdowns are being announced across the state. So definitely most of the India actually is in the lockdown right now. So that's bound to have an impact on the numbers for this year. But good thing is, if you look at the rural side, I think the factors are all positive. Very record output for the Rabi crop, good procurement by government, good pricing for the farmers. So cash flow wise, I think the rural still is in a much better shape. And whenever the recovery happens, so like we saw in the last time after the lockdown, there was so much of pent-up demand. So we expect the same thing can actually happen this time too. So we're just keeping our fingers crossed and hope the things will actually recover soon and everything normalizes.
Okay. Mr. Madan, I wanted to ask you, when we speak with agricultural economists, they're extremely positive in terms of the agri prices. They expect most of the farm prices to be higher than the MSP. So even if the government doesn't procure, the farmers are going to have a fairly decent earning in the coming year. That seemed positive. So what is not happening is only because of dislocation and no retail outlets open. So what would your own forecast be for the year in terms of volumes?
So look at the good thing is the sowing season is still to start. So normally it starts from mid of May after the harvesting is done, and this continues till sometime by first week of July or middle of July. So that is the critical period. So even though May may be a washed down month, but even if the recovery starts happening in the sowing, because the farmers do need tractors for sowing. So the demand is definitely there on the ground, and the money is also available with them. So it's only a question of timing. Now, if we are able to catch the month of June also, it can be a good month. You can actually see good demand coming in. But by any chance, if the same situation continues in June too, as we've seen in May, then obviously the season for the sowing is over. Then the next season will only come in the second half of the year. Then we can't expect first half to be really better, in terms of the growth. So we're really banking that the May at least a good month where we see the pandemic issues are sorted out. The peak already looks like it's over. So the cases are going down, and if June sees a good recovery, then maybe you can see a good demand coming in the June.
1 minute, Bharat, 1 minute. I take your point that, the outlets to buy tractors are not open in May, but you're hoping that they will be open in June, and you just definitely want it to be open before the sowing starts in July. But are so many of the tier 2 cities seeing economic restriction? The most of the lockdown-like restrictions were in the large cities. I would assume tractors are bought more in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities. Even there, you are seeing severe retail activity being curbed?
So look, I just want to clarify one thing. The tractors, farm equipment, actually the outlets are allowed to open. So these are actually categorized under essential category with Ministry of Home Affairs.
What is the problem?
So issue is, I think, more because of the COVID situation, because the dealers' families, their own extended families, their sales executives who are actually infected. So it's not that channels are not open. They are open, but thing is they are open for a week and then something happened and then they are again shut down for a certain reason. Now, since most of these are proprietary ships or the partnerships, which is essentially led by a single man or two-man show, and if his family is getting infected, then definitely the challenge and also opening this outlet. So it's not that channels are not opening. So issue is, I think, more, we don't know which channel will open when. So that is, I think, bigger challenge we are facing right now. So every day, few of the channel actually go under closure for due to COVID restriction. If they go into quarantine, then you actually go on for 10 days to 15 days. So that is a bigger challenge right now. So I think issue is not on just the opening of channel, and they are allowed to open as per the government guidelines. But the challenge is more in the sort of pandemic situation which is prevalent in those rural areas now.
Okay. I know it is a very, very tough time to predict which way things are going to go and what the industry might do. But any ballpark assumptions or guidance that you're working with for the industry as a whole? I mean, in FY21, the industry saw 20, your own business saw 20% domestic volume growth. What do you think the realistic assumption could be for FY22?
So if like our assumption continues the way we are expecting now, if the June opens up, then actually we will not lose the first season also for this year. So if you are able to catch up part of that season, then the second half is likely to be good now. Assuming there is no third wave which is equally severe or more severe than what this is, then things should be actually better. Then we can actually expect the recovery may happen in the industry, and you can still see maybe mid-single digit growth in the industry volumes this time. But if the June goes bad, then it could be concerned. Then you only depend on second half and they're already high base. So that really can have an impact on the industry numbers for the full year.
1 minute. If June works and if we are done with the ferocity of the COVID in May, then you expect single digit.
Yeah, mid-single digit.
Oh, okay. Even then it's only mid-single digit.
But the base is very high at the industry. It's already touched 900,000 peak last year. So that's on a higher base, even that growth will be very good number.
Fair point. It's only if you miss June that you have a problem. I take your point. Bharat, what about pricing? Just about every auto guy is complaining about this very high commodity prices. So how much can you pass on, especially when people's back is broken for other reasons? Will you have to take a hit on margins?
Yeah, so we've seen that effect after coming in the last quarter also. So since the inflation was very high, it's almost 7-8% till March, and we were able to pass on with two price increases so far, only about 4 to 5%. So there's still a lag which we're carrying, and there's further pressure coming in this quarter too. So that's something, one cause of worry for everyone. I think all the players are actually impacted, and it's not possible to pass on 100% cost increases to the market looking at the demand scenario right now. So I think we are also taking a cautious call, but definitely another price increase is imminent in the coming quarter. And maybe if the inflation continues in that quarter too, maybe this is the trend which we'll see. But this is a very unprecedented sort of increase we have seen actually on the commodity side, never seen in this industry.
Absolutely. I mean, for every industry, right, it's unprecedented times. I wanted to understand what the impact of the exports of the Kubota tractors could be. I mean, you started exports in 4 markets from Q4. What would this do for your overall volumes, and how are things with that JV?
So JV has already started production. They already started producing Kubota tractors. So they will go into production with our Escorts brand tractors also from Q2 of this year. And that will add another 30,000 of capacity for us, so in the sort of volume requirement. So export has been good. Even last year we've seen almost 30% export growth has been there for us, and that trend continues. We just started exporting some of the models, some tractors to some of the markets for Kubota. And those markets will gradually expand as we are going into the coming years. And we expect export will continue to be a quite good focus area for us, where the growth will continue to happen. And our expectations are really good on that front.
Okay. All right, we'll leave it at that. Bharat, it was a pleasure speaking with you. And of course, for the sake of tractor sales and for the sake of everyone, one hopes that May is the worst month and things start recovering in June. Once again, let us play the recovery numbers for you. The recovery numbers look very good. The new cases at 2.8, every Monday the cases fall because on Saturday, Sunday, the testing falls. And I would still take a lot of encouragement from the numbers that have come over the weekend. We know that every Monday the numbers will show a dip, but recovery numbers showing an improvement to 3.7.